Okay, I'd call to order the meeting of the Town Commissioners of Andrew, North Carolina, this Tuesday, July the 5th at 6:30. Let's all rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We remain standing. Almighty God, we thank you for the celebration of July the 4th. Freedom is very precious in this country. We look around the world and we see people running from attacks and from other issues. But thank goodness, oh Lord, you gave us the benefit of freedom and democracy. Bless us as we carry forward that into this meeting tonight. Amen. The agenda, we have to do one thing first. Alan Coates could not be here tonight. He's out of town and gave adequate notice that he would not be here. Is there a motion to allow him to be excused?
I make a motion that we allow him to be excused from tonight's meeting.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right. Thank you very much. Now, the agenda is before you. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as written.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand, please. Okay, thank you. It's unanimous again. All right, we have a pleasant duty. Elizabeth, if you would come forward, I'll meet you out there. And if your father will come with you. All right, Mr. Yoakley. Yes, sir. You have done a good job bringing your daughter into this world and bringing her to us. If you will hold this, Elizabeth, and raise your right hand, please. I, Elizabeth Yoakley Krieg,
I, Elizabeth Yoakley Krieg,
do solemnly swear
that
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
I will support and maintain the Constitution
and laws
And
of the
laws.
United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as town manager.
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as town manager.
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and to the state of North Carolina
and to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities which
And-
are
and authorities which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, let me get back to my seat and I'll tell you a little bit about her. Elizabeth came to us as the town manager of the town of Catawba, North Carolina. She has prior experience in government, including as an assistant to the county manager in Catawba County, and as a human resources officer and town clerk for the town of Maiden. Maiden. That's why we have her here. North Carolina. And she has a Master of Public Administration from Appalachian State University, a Bachelor of Science in Approved Communication and Political Science from Appalachian State University. So, Elizabeth, we gladly welcome you to the position of the town manager of the town of Angier. Okay, thank you. All right. Now, many of you signed up for public comment. I perceive that a lot of the comment is going to be about the public hearings. So let me suggest this. If you have something that has to do with something other than the public hearings, then why don't you use this time now in the public comment, and then we will certainly allow you to speak during the other public hearings. If, however, you wish to use both, I certainly will not prevent you from doing so. We, when you give us comment, we respectfully receive that. It doesn't always mean that we will act on your request at that particular moment, although tonight we are presumably dealing with the issue that you want to comment on. Each speaker will be limited in the public comment and in the public hearings to 3 minutes. So, are there anyone who would like to have a public comment at this point? Okay, I think one person has signed up, but I don't see her here, so. Going once, going twice. Okay. All right. The consent agenda, all that we have on the consent agenda is the approval of minutes for June the 6th and June the 20th of this year. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Approve the consent agenda.
Okay, the motion's been made. Any, all in favor, please raise your right hand. So ordered. All right. The public hearings. What we will do is, let's see, who wants to present this on behalf of the town? Okay, what I would suggest is that we do the rezoning request first. Does that make sense? Or do you want to do the voluntary annexation?
We might do the annexation first, since that's a continuation of a public hearing from June.
Okay.
Then you hold your vote on the annexation. You open the public hearing for the rezoning.
Okay.
You have that public hearing, and then if you so choose, you have motions on both of those.
We could do it either way, but that's okay with me. Let's see, the public hearing on voluntary annexation submitted by G&J Development. This is 28.35 acres at 5963 NC 10 in Angier.
Correct.
Okay, would you remind us what happened at the public hearing of which this is a continuation?
Yes, sir. At the June meeting, you all opened the public hearing. The applicant was not present at the meeting, so you all felt like it was appropriate to delay the meeting. Also, in light of the rezoning having been delayed, you really couldn't have acted on the annexation at the June meeting, so it was appropriate to delay until tonight, where you can have both public hearings for the annexation and the rezoning. But you've opened the public hearing. It's just a continuation of the public hearing from June on the annexation. The annexation would be to bring in approximately 28 acres along Highway NC 210, which is approximately 2.5 miles from town. It's along 210 and Harnett Primary School Road. And the applicant it's a voluntary annexation request, and the applicant has requested that. And I'm not sure if an applicant is here. There is.
Okay.
Good. So you can ask the applicant any questions that you may have, and then, of course, hear from the public during the public hearing.
Do you have any presentations as to maps or anything?
Not for the annexation. On the rezoning, we would.
Okay.
I can bring up the rezoning maps and show you approximately where. Go to the number 2 there, Veronica. So the property outlined in blue there's 3 parcels that approximately are 28 acres. Again, along NC 210 North and North Harnett School Road, and those parcels are shown on the screen there.
So as you enter the primary school, it will be on the right. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I'm going to open the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
let me ask you a question. I didn't realize until we got started, and I should have, but absolutely would not want to postpone this with all the people here. But has anyone reached out to our attorney to find out where he's at, and do you think he needs to be here while we're doing this?
He indicated that he was trying desperately to get here. Any further response from him?
You think we might could go to the other ones before we get to this, and before the public gets up here and starts speaking, or what do you think, sir?
Well, why don't we allow the public to speak, and then maybe he'll be here by
Okay.
after that. All right. So I will start with those who signed up. Michael Collins. And if you'll give your name and address, please. And
My name is Michael R. Collins. I live at 5821 NC 210 North. It is on your map here. My driveway is about 8 feet from that intersection. I've observed that intersection for the last 23 years continuously, so I have some familiarity with the area. What I would tell you relative to the annexation is that this is all about creating a high-density environment in a low-density neighborhood. And I'm really questioning what's happening here on this vein. We talked about, you actually spoke about the issue of democracy in your prayer. The entire surrounding community has no vote in the town of Andrew. The people who represent that area, that community, attended a meeting in Lillington. The elected representatives of that area at that meeting denied a rezoning to a higher density because they said, with the community input, that it would add additional risk to that intersection, which is already very dense, and endanger the school, the children, the parents that are bringing the children back and forth to school, and that it would create an area that would not be in keeping with the community, with the surrounding community. So they denied that upzoning. So what we're here tonight doing is a sort of end around to try to appeal to an annexation to get a density that's already been deemed inappropriate by the elected officials that represent the people in that area. And I would just ask you to consider what compelling reason would the citizens or the government of Angier have to entertain overruling the elected officials of the area, and what benefit would occur to the citizens of Angier, which you actually do represent? I thank you for hearing.
Michael, before you go, if you don't mind, to answer your second question, I'll just go ahead and blankly tell you, I mean, what they decide over there, we can vote for or against here. You know
Right,
that.
I understand it. Yeah.
The second question I had for you is, what intersection are you talking about? Are you talking about James Norris Road?
No,
Or the school entrance?
The school road.
The school entrance. Okay.
The unique situation there is that the people who go up and down that school road,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the leisure of looking at the bad weather and saying, you know what, I think I'll delay taking my kids to school for an hour and a half today.
All right.
And they don't have the leisure of saying, you know what, I don't want to take my kids to school in the rush hour because there's too much traffic out there. It can be dangerous.
Right.
And I've seen what that environment's like on a rainy, ugly day.
Right.
And how people are moving into that center lane trying to get. Actually, I've seen what happens to me trying to get out of my own driveway. So I think that particular area is uniquely ill-suited for high density because of those issues. There's no way to get roads in and out of there without significantly impacting that school road. And if there were an accident at the end of that school road, if there were any incident at the school, there would be no way for fire and rescue to get there. So we'd be endangering the lives of the people in the school. So I'd ask you just to consider those issues as you think about what's happening here tonight.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Next is Chris Turner. That's the Reverend Chris Turner.
Sir, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for a few minutes to address you. My name is Chris Turner. I live at 107 North Harnett School Road. It's on the map here as you're going up toward the school. My driveway is off to the left side, and so as I come out of my driveway, this parcel would be directly in front as I turn on to the school road and then come out on 210 for daily travel. So I echo a lot of what Mr. Collins just shared in that I see the congestion that is on this road on a daily basis, especially when school is in session. It's not a great design because you have a school at the end of a dead-end road, essentially. So every day when the school traffic, parents come to pick up their kids, that traffic, as they're waiting for school to let out, backs up all the way to and into Highway 210. And there has to be a deputy sheriff there to help the buses out, all of that. It's just a highly congested area. So I'm very concerned with any request to move from the R30 to the R10 just because of the high level of congestion in this area. Moving just a little further in your map, we've got the new Atherstone subdivision that's coming in there, 400 some houses. As you get up toward the intersection of 210 Harnett Central Road, you've got apartments coming in right there by the middle school on both sides of 210. You've got explosive growth pretty much from that intersection of 210 Harnett Central, Lillington, multiple subdivisions going between 210 and 401. There's 4 new projects already begun there, and this is already a super congested area, especially when school is in session. And so that's really my concern is for public safety. I'm not against growth. I'm not against people. I'm trying to develop property, but right now that is all woodland. And so imagine having, all of this right there at the school. I think it presents a safety issue, honestly, to the school and the students too, to have that many houses there that close to the school. But that's really my primary concern is thinking about public safety. This is a growing area. The traffic in this corridor is increasing daily, and a lot of these housing developments that are really just getting started, we've not seen at all what the impact that's going to be. Thousands of people, thousands of homes coming into what, as Mr. Collins said, has been more of a rural area. and now it's changing very rapidly. So not against growth, but I think we need to be smart in how we go about it. I think that's what the county was looking at when they made their ruling. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Alan Button, is it? Yes. Okay. Yes, sir.
My name's Alan Button. I live at 61 Karen Court with my wife, which is off of James Norris Road. We, on most days, 4 times a day, exit or enter James Norris at that intersection. I'll echo a little bit of what Mr. Collins and Reverend Turner had to say, but I want to focus more on the staff report and the standards that have to be met before annexation can occur. To quote commentary out of the UNC School of Government, North Carolina is highly unusual, if not unique, in allowing non-contiguous satellite annexation. That being the case, I submit that such annexation should occur only in exceptional circumstances, and that an annexation petition from a developer whose land use amendment request was unanimously denied by the County Board of Commissioners 7.5 months ago is not one of those exceptional circumstances. Indeed, given the history of this reclassification effort, granting such a petition would certainly not be the way to build public trust in the workings of government. The proposed land use amendment for this same property, seeking to reclassify the property from low-density residential to medium-density, was denied at the county on the recommendation of the planning staff, based on its findings of incompatibility and unreasonable impact on the surrounding community. The staff found specifically that the change, this is a quote, the change could potentially be an inconvenience to adjacent property owners, that it could lead to issues with the existing transportation network and additional traffic congestion, and that the reclassification is not compatible with the surrounding land use district, nor is it adjacent to the requested classification. Further, the uses and density provided by the current zoning and land use classification are more appropriate for this area, according to the planning staff at the county level. County staff also grounded its recommendation of denial on the commissioner's, quote, clear precedent from May of last year, keeping 2 adjacent parcels as low-density residential. The developer could have appealed the county's decision, but apparently chose not to. For a petition to be granted, the annexation statute, 160A 58.2, requires a finding, quote, that the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city and of the area proposed for annexation will be best served by the annexation, close quote. That standard, with the construction of 78 proposed dwelling units, is certainly not satisfied here. The board's agenda report shows the financial impact as not applicable. The annexation statute in subsection 58.3 states, however, that the annexed area and its citizens and property, quote, are entitled to the same privileges and benefits as other parts of the city. The financial impact on the town of Angier of providing services to 78 additional units is hardly negligible.
Okay.
If I could take one more minute, I'd appreciate
Well,
it.
let me remind you that we're only talking about annexation here, not rezoning. This hearing is as to annexation.
And I would note that the annexation petition includes a rezoning application.
But that is a separate matter.
I'll
I
be
mean,
glad to
just-
continue at
Okay.
the rezoning hearing.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much for your comments. All right. Claire Cooper.
I would like to say that mine is mostly about rezoning, so may I have my comments later?
Yes, ma'am. You certainly may. Bo Beerley.
Actually, we say Byerly, as in
Byerly,
buy
I
early for Christmas.
apologize. Yes, sir. Smith is hard to mess up.
I know. I am Bo Byerly. I am a resident of the Neals Creek Farms community. My address is 30 Homestead Road. I'm not very close to this development here, but it is part of the Property Owners Association of Neals Creek Farm, which does come very close to it. We are, I'll say we, let me just say I. First of all, given my personal opinion of non-adjacent annexation is a concept of which I personally do not approve. I don't think it's a good idea at all. But I do want to touch on the one comment that was made earlier about the fact that this community is going to be a little duck out of the water if you're allowed to make it high density. Everything that's around it, including the newest neighborhood, the Atherstone neighborhood, their smallest lot's half an acre, and they go up to 3/4 of an acre. Shelby Meadows, which is just off Webb Denning Road, they're all half an acre or more. Ashton and Pinecroft, I'm not too sure of the name of the neighborhood there, but they're all a half acre or better. That's all surrounding. Those are the neighborhoods closest to where this one would be. Why should this one be suddenly high density in the midst of all of that? I would also like to point out the fact, too, that we're taking away a lot of area, too, that is going to displace wildlife. And I'm going to tell you that as a member of Neal Creek's Farms, we have a nice big greenway, and I know where that wildlife's going to go. I have problems with deer right now eating stuff out of my garden. So we're against it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Byerly. Okay, Rose Cotton.
I would also like to postpone until the rezoning hearing.
All right, that'll be fine. Ed Loeffler. And you're representing the developer, right?
That is correct. I'm with Curry Engineering. We're an engineering firm out of Fuquay, representing our client, and we feel that this request is reasonable, and I'm here to answer any questions that may come up that may need engineering answers.
Okay. Is it your proposal that the only access to this property will be on the North Harnick Road, School Road?
That is correct, and as close to 210 as possible, keeping greatest distance away from the school as possible. Does
That didn't make sense.
Okay. Yes, there would be one entrance, and it would be as far or as close to NC 210 as possible. So there's greater distance between that entrance and where the school is. Does that make sense?
Are you saying that access will be directly from 210?
No. No.
Can it be school road?
It would be on the school road, but as close as
If
possible.
10 is possible.
Correct. Just to keep as greatest distance.
I got it.
You understand?
Okay. Okay. Since you are the developer, is there anything else you would like to tell us about your development, or
No. I'm just here to answer any other questions that may come up from it.
are there any questions?
Yeah, I got some. Educate me a little bit. Y'all went to the county
Yes.
May of last year?
I'm not sure of the date.
Okay. And what did
I
you
was
get?
not at the meeting.
What was his name? What was your name again, sir?
Ed Loeffler.
Ed, what did y'all go for?
Rezoning and give me a second here.
Well, not annexation.
I have the packet here from that effort. So. Excuse me.
Well, there wouldn't be any need for annexation there, so just rezoning with the county, right?
That is correct.
So you went for rezoning,
Yes.
and they turned you down.
Correct.
Have you? Why Andrew, not Lillington?
I think Basically because of the nearness and proximity to Angier versus Lillington.
Mm-hmm. How many homes you plan on putting in there?
78, I believe.
Single family?
Yes.
And once it's all said and done, how many entrances will you have to the property?
One.
And that's the road where the school's at?
Yes.
Is it possible to do a direct entrance from 210?
We would have to investigate that with the DOT.
Well, or would you be willing to do that?
We could consider that if necessary.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
My concern is with 78 homes with 2 people per home is additional 156 people coming in and out of that side road. You put 4, that's 312. You have no other exit in and out of that. I had children go to that school. I know how congested it is. My concern is if there's something, God forbid there's a shooting in that school. That's a lot of people, a lot of traffic coming in and out. Because if there's a shooting at that school, you know people are going to start leaving that subdivision. I have major concern about how many people are going to be on that one road.
Okay.
We believe that it would be most efficient to have the single entrance and keep it as far away from the entrance to the school as possible. It could be considered to have more than one entrance, but we thought that was the most efficient approach to this.
I think it would be feasible to have 2 because it doesn't matter if you put the entrance right 20 feet away from 210. You're still not cutting back on the people, amount of people coming in and out of the
Anything else you would like to present to us?
No, sir.
Right. Okay. Anyone else wish to comment on the public hearing? This is on the annexation. Excuse me? Okay, we'll allow that.
I think it would be prudent for the town attorney to hear the legal issues that Mr. Button brought up relative to annexation and rezoning.
Okay, so the
Mr. Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, when we released this to our clerk, you do the background on this. I mean, you've already discussed this, the legal part of it, correct?
No.
The only legal part that I look into is to make sure that signatures and owners align.
No, I agree with he needs to know.
So just to clarify, and I apologize for walking in late, but we're on the annexation petition, correct?
Yes.
The only thing before the board tonight is really annexing in the property. It's not necessarily all of the details about driveways and entrances and exits. All of that will come up later when they submit, for a particular use. This is just, do we want to annex this into the town? All of the other details will be worked out through planning and through the regular process, and it'll come before the board again. Sorry? The rezoning is just, again, to rezone to a particular type of zoning. Are we doing conditional zoning? What's the request for?
R10.
Okay. So I think, first of all, the board should take into account one thing at a time. Start with the annexation. Do we want to annex the property in? And then when we hear the zoning, if it's conditional zoning, then you can put conditions on it as you see fit. If it's just straight zoning, then you just need to consider, is this the proper zoning for that property?
Okay. All right. Do we have the annexation material in the packet here? All right. So based on that, then tell us once again what we can consider in terms of the annexation.
Right. I mean, all you need to consider for the annexation is, do you want this property part of the town of Andrew or not?
Right, that's all we can vote on, is just if we want it to be a part of the town of Andrew.
And as it's currently zoned the way it's zoned, so you're bringing it in under the current zoning.
Right.
And then you'll be asked at the second hearing whether that zoning should be changed to R10.
Right, right.
So take those one at a time.
Yep.
Okay. All right. If I haven't already, I'm going to close the public hearing. What is the view of the discussion of the Board of Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Allen Button, is that correct? Did the general statutes, Mr. Attorney, that he mentioned to us when you wasn't here, does it affect the annexation as well?
I'm not sure what statutes he brought up.
Mr. Button, you want to?
Statutes I was referring to are all about.
Basically, he was just.
You want
to come
mention
back up and repeat
to
that,
our
please?
attorney what you?
Since our attorney now is here. Yeah, I think he would like to know. We would like to know.
Do that.
Clarity of it.
Just to be fair.
The thing that confuses me a little bit is that the annexation petition, of which I have a copy right here, includes a rezoning application. Rezoning application if the property is currently outside the town of Andrew. That's part of the annexation petition.
So.
But those are dealt with separately.
There's an initial zoning, when you annex the property, there's an initial zoning that it would be put into. And then the request here would be to annex it in, you'd annex it with that initial zoning, and then
R30.
the request would be to rezone it from
R10.
R30 to R10.
Right.
So essentially, it's not part of the town now and therefore has no town zoning. So
Right.
if it is brought
It has
into the
county
town,
zoning, right.
it has to be applied to a town
Exactly.
zoning district.
If that's the way you end up, I would suggest that you change the annexation petition to eliminate the rezoning reference. Because again, the annexation petition says rezoning application included.
Mr. Button, again, would you mind going over the statute with our attorney Hartside, please?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you, sir.
For the petition to be granted, the annexation statute, which is 160A 58.2, requires a finding that, quote, "the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city and of the area proposed for annexation will be best served by the annexation," close quote. And I have suggested that that standard, with the construction of 78 proposed dwelling units, is not satisfied here. The annexation statute in subsection 58.3 says that the annexed area and its citizens and property, quote, "are entitled to the same privileges and benefits as other parts of the city," close quote. I referenced that because it is indicated in the materials for tonight that the financial impact on the town of Angier is not applicable. And I would submit that providing services to 78 additional dwelling units is hardly negligible in terms of financial impact. That's as far as I got. I've got some other references, but that pretty much covers it with respect to annexation.
Does that help you, Dan?
I think so. So if you agree to annex the property into the town of Andrew, you're not necessarily agreeing to the proposal for this particular project.
Right.
You're agreeing that the land is properly part of the town of Andrew. They've asked for it to be part of the town of Andrew, that it will serve the town and serve the residents of the town to have this in the town of Anger corporate limits. When you bring it in, you're going to bring it in on an initial zoning.
Right.
Then the request is, again, separate from the annexation to rezone that to R10 from R30, from low density to medium density. And so you're not, by annexing the property in, you're not agreeing to any particular project or proposal.
Yep.
It just means we now have that this property is part of the town of Anger.
But we are obligating ourselves to utilities and water supply.
Correct.
That's what I was going to say.
And do we have that now over there?
Exactly. Do we have the services, do we provide services over there?
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, Mr. Cook, do we have it now?
We don't have services out there. Okay, that's what I thought.
Would that be covered under Harnett County services, not Anger?
The statute says that whatever the privileges and benefits are within the city is what will apply to the annexed property, this 28 acres.
And that's
Whatever
true.
that might be.
We would be responsible for providing water sewer to that if they were within the town limits.
But that could be, for instance, by contracting with the county.
It could.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for coming back up. Eventually, yeah. All right, further discussion from the board. Remind us what findings, if any, we have to make, just that to allow or disallow the annexation.
Yeah, again, it's the statute that was just cited. You have to, finds and determines that one, the area described in the petition meets all the standards set out in the annexation statute. Petition bears the signature of all the owners of the party. Otherwise, a valid petition, public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city and the area proposed for annexation will best be served by annexation.
Normally, those findings are in the packet.
I was going to say they probably are.
I believe if you reference your staff report.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I wasn't, I think Veronica helped with the annexation staff report. There was some, delay. I wasn't here for all that. So if that's normally what you have in your packet for annexations, we will include that for the next time. But I didn't participate in the staff report on the annexation.
All right, so each of those, like 4 findings we have to deal with. So if the board is okay with that, if the attorney will read each finding in sequence, or as long as we are dealing with them. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Attorney Hartzog, I do have a question. I asked Curry Engineering that it was going to be how many units. You said 78. You said we couldn't talk about it. But it's actually under the annexation petition here. You said yes, single family. It shows here you got 30 single family and 48 townhomes.
Single family.
All right, with the permission of the board, then if there's nothing further, we need to go through those findings. Dan, if you'll read the first one.
Yeah,
And the statement of
it looks like page 3 or 4 maybe on the staff
on the
report.
staff reports.
Okay.
Oh, that's
for
the zoning.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
so
they're pretty, they're very generalized standards that it's, something that is permissible to be annexed into the town, which I believe it is, that it's in the best interest of the citizens and the citizens of the property to be annexed in. What was the other one? That the petition is valid, that it has the signature of the property owner, those types of things.
Okay. So the petition has been found valid, and it does have the signature of the property owner. So,
So really, the what's really in the discretion of the board here is, does it, the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city and the area proposed for annexation will best be served by the annexation.
all right. Given those requirements, is there a motion regarding annexation?
Mr. Mayor, before we get to that, if you don't mind, sir, I have a question for you, and maybe you can direct us how to go here. If we vote to annex it in, we still got the rezoning, and we all understand that.
Correct.
If we don't annex it in, probably Lillington or someone else, well, Lillington probably will.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in our best interest to annex it in? That's kind of the question I want to ask.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Is it financially worth it to us to annex it and supply all we got to supply out there?
Sure. So they initially, as my understanding, after the county's denial, went to Lillington. Lillington made a analysis of the distance between their, corporate limits and this property, and this property fell outside of statutory requirements
Exactly.
for them to be able to annex into Lillington. So unless something were to change with Lillington, I'm not sure that this property would ever be able to be annexed by Lillington. With that being said, we are the next closest. They came to us, and thus the annexation's in front of you for decision tonight. I would like to sort of talk through one of the statements that we've sort of tossed around. If you annex the property, Dan, the ordinance does not give an initial zoning.
I think, yeah, you would have to put it in whatever zoning fits the surrounding area.
Right.
And so that would be, I'm not sure what else is in that area as far as
R30.
it's R30. So
Yeah, practically everyone's R30.
you probably would initially zone it to R30,
That's what we typically do.
which is why they've said we would like it to not be R30, we'd like it to be R10.
Right.
That is the discretion of the board as to whether to, the default would be R30
Okay.
because that's the surrounding area.
Okay.
Do we need to have the ordinance say that, the zoning ordinance, say that once upon adoption of the annexation, an initial zoning is X, or does the board have discretion
I think
to
the board-
zone the property immediately upon annexation?
Ultimately, the board has the discretion, but the default should be that it's zoned in accordance with the surrounding area.
Typically, we've handled those.
So we could add some language to that to say that in general, property will be zoned consistent with its surrounding zoning.
In all of the similar situations, in my experience, we have taken the existing zoning in the annexation and then decided as a second matter whether to change the zoning.
Right.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Would we have to extend the services out there?
I think that's a question for the attorney, but state law says that
Yes.
we have to
Mhm.
give the same benefits
Yep.
as the town, although we could contract with the county
Mhm.
and have that, have their water and sewer take care of this project.
Okay.
If you all recall, there's been some discussion with the county and Lillington and others about an urban service area
Yep.
and establishing some boundaries between the two cities and where we would serve in the future. This property is within the town of Andrews' proposed urban service area. And it is common in Harnett County for Harnett Regional Water to serve projects outside of a municipality's area where they have utilities, all in that project to be within a municipality.
Right.
Talking with Harnett Regional, that's something that occurs. So it's an agreement between the town, the developer, Harnett Regional. In this case, if this were to be brought in and a project were to be approved of a number of lots or what have you under a zoning that's would be zoned, we would annex, tax base would be taxed at a city rate, but we would not be providing water and sewer. Those customers would not be our water and sewer customers.
Right.
They would be Harnett Regional.
So we just get the property tax pretty much.
That's correct. We would still have to police, fire,
Right.
solid waste, those types of things. We
But
would
the
still,
county would be responsible for the other stuff.
for the water and sewer.
Right.
That's right.
Ultimately, we would be responsible for making sure they get those services.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
If there
Exactly.
became an impasse between Harnett Regional and
Mm-hmm.
the town and the developer, we could be compelled to,
Put the pipe down.
we could be.
Yeah.
And so that's a, you know, a risk, a calculated risk that you all would have to understand that Harnett Regional does more than likely do that type of agreements. I wish that we had an agreement in front of you that says we are going to do X. Harnett Regional Water would not provide an agreement. All they would provide to the developer and to myself was language that says, once a project being something that they can review for capacity is under review and approved, then capacity will be then set aside
Right.
for
Set
that
aside.
project.
Yeah, exactly.
So we could not get language that absolves the town from that requirement.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that they could do that.
Right.
So you have that in front of you. That's the standard, really. You're in, and it goes along with, are you providing the same benefits to
Right.
the future population of this property as it is to the town of Andrew's current residents? And if you decide that that's not the case tonight, then the rezoning becomes moot, and you don't even really need to move on with that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So do y'all understand to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I guess I've earned the right to say this. You might hammer me down, but when you lived here all your life, and I know who owned the land before. I know who owned it now. You're kind of put in a pickle. I feel for everybody sitting out there. From what I'm hearing is, if it's zoned a certain way, you might be okay with it. You don't want more. If we don't do anything, I guess my question is, before I'd ever bought that land, I would have done some more research. If we go against everything tonight, you got a piece of property you can't do anything with.
That's not true. They have a proposal for 29 houses.
Well, I said if it was rezoned different, Michael, but more than what he wants is what I'm getting at. It's kind of bad if you do and bad if you don't, the way I look at it, Yeah, I know.
Okay. Is there anything further as to annexation?
And as part of annexation, you should probably at least think about it being the zoning of the surrounding. Like if it were coming in
The
under its
impact
current
on it.
zoning,
I agree.
that's kind of how you should think about it. And then
Okay.
knowing that they're asking for that to be changed. But if it came in annexation without the rezoning, it would be sort of a default of R30. And would that fit with the town's plans?
Mr. Attorney, and excuse my language, excuse my ignorance here. I'm not a career politician. If we annex it tonight and the rezoning doesn't go through, or they don't like what we have to say, is the annexation done with? Or we
It would
still
be
own it?
annexed into the town at whatever initial zoning the board gives it, if you don't rezone it. That
Would be R30.
it would likely be R30 because that's what the surrounding districts are.
Correct.
Okay.
And at that point, the applicant may say, I want to pull the annexation and not.
That's my question. Do they have that option?
Exactly.
I think up until the moment you vote, they have that option.
Okay.
Because
Mr. Applicant, how do you feel about R30? Well, we're having to make a decision right now.
You want to call Austin?
You could also table this if you feel like you need to
I'm
hear
ready to
more
vote.
from the applicant.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, I believe there is a readiness to vote up here. All right, is there a motion as to approving the annexation of the property of G&J Development, 28.35 acres at 5963 NC 210, Anger, North Carolina? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the annexation.
Okay, is there discussion? Further discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion, please raise your right hand. It's 1, 2, opposed? Okay, so 2 out of 3
Passes.
passes. All right.
Okay.
So the property is annexed. The next separate issue is the rezoning request.
All right, thank you, Board.
Mm-hmm.
So now that the property is annexed into town,
Mhm.
there is a request to zone the property from R30. Was Harnett County, I believe, with the annexation, it's now R30 Anger.
Mm-hmm.
And so the request is to zone the property R10. The analysis of the area was, we are currently not, this does not show up in our land use plan because
Right.
it's too far out.
Mm-hmm.
But the analysis was to look at similar other places along North Carolina highways
Mhm.
within the town of Anger and sort of analyze how would we treat a property along a US, NC highway. And I believe, especially with water and sewer, I believe the town has had historically would have rezoned the property, or has rezoned properties elsewhere in town to a denser zoning
Right.
district. So that was sort of the analysis there. When it was in Harnett County, all the folks that spoke were correct. There's a land use plan for Harnett County that shows low density.
Mm-hmm.
But now that it's in the town of Anger, you have to look at it through the town of Anger's lens.
Mm-hmm.
And how would we zone properties
Mm-hmm.
similarly elsewhere in town?
Exactly.
If we were to historically look at how we've done so, we would you all have more than likely zoned it something other than R30. What that is, R20, R15, R10, R6, it's something different than R30.
Mhm.
If you look at the town in and of itself, especially in town limits, now that there's very few R30 zoning districts in the town limits. So again, looking at it through town of Anger lens, there's probably something other than R30 that has been supported in the past, especially with water and sewer. The planning board took this up at their June meeting. They are recommending approval, albeit with the caveat that Harnett Regional Water provide the utilities to this tract of land, because they understand that the town more than likely is not in the position to extend
We're not.
utilities.
And your staff will recommend approval as well.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing on the rezoning. And 2 people had signed up to speak on the rezoning.
Could you put my name on that, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we can do that.
Adam?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these were just signed up for comment, so. All right, so Claire Cooper.
I'm Claire Cooper, and I live at 226 Hartman Drive, which is off of James Norris Road. My property doesn't exactly back up to this, but there's one other property between me and this property. Okay, it's in the same watershed for the branch that runs behind my house, so that's one of the reasons.
Close enough.
Close enough. Anyway, that's and I used to live in Andrew. I lived over here where Bloom Pediatrics is now for 15 years or something like that. So, but I've been in the county for since 1985. So, anyway, so that's a little bit of background about me. I had tried to find out about the agenda for this meeting as a concerned citizen, and it wasn't posted on the website. So I called the Andrew town of Andrew, sorry, and I also called the planning department and several times and left a message. Nobody called me back ever. So finally, I got a person on Thursday of last week, and at that time, a very, very helpful woman said, the information should be posted on the website by sometimes late Friday afternoon before the holiday for 4th of July weekend essentially started. Okay. So maybe you're just short-staffed because of the holiday, but maybe you have a chronic problem with getting information to citizens about these hearings. I don't really know, but it didn't give us very much time to look at the very long agenda for this meeting or to think much about the issues at hand. Developers and some officials that I know are in favor of higher density development in this area. Developers see this area as a gold mine. The regulations are fairly lax compared to the other areas of North Carolina that we're in. The enforcement is even more lax, and probably that's in part because we don't have the staff to go out and keep up with the demand for all this explosion of development. One developer project engineer that I was actually at one of the hearings went so far as to say that his wife was not in favor of what he did as a job because he was helping to do things to our environment she was not in favor of. But this is what he was paid to do, and besides, he didn't live with the mess he was creating. No one I've talked to in our community is in favor of this explosion of development. We are in favor of development, reasonable development, but this is too much too fast. Our taxes are going up, but services that the government is obligated to provide are increasingly inadequate. The water pressure, even very close to the water tower, as you probably know, that area is very close to that water tower, is now erratic. And a number of nearby developments like Atherstone are not even completed yet. Schools are very overcrowded and understaffed. Response times for emergencies is growing up dramatically, and entering 210 from any side street is, especially during peak times, it's a nightmare. The creek behind our house, this branch I was talking about, has been green and foamy from developmental runoff. And whenever I report a problem, or when other people report a problem to government, I usually get, that's not our problem, call another agency. I called the DOT department about the road safety around the schools, and they said, we can't do anything until it actually have a proposal in front of us. Sorry, but we can't do it. Besides, we all know how slowly DOT works on working on traffic congestion. I know you have a vision for the town of Angier, and maybe it's a different one than some of us in Harnett County have. Please realize we're not just a bunch of folks who are against everything. We're not the other. The citizens here are individuals just like you. We have families, jobs. We poured our life savings and our lives into our homes. We trusted government to be fair, impartial, effective, responsive to citizen needs, not just those developers. I know that developers are going to make money. I mean, that's just a given, no matter what density they have. I guess the question I leave always with is, do we have to say it's okay for developers to change the rules in order to make an even higher profit, especially when giving them a green light to higher density decreases our quality of life? I sincerely hope not.
Thank you, ma'am. Rose Cotton.
I'm probably going to ad-lib most of my remarks. My name is Rose Cotton. How are you, sir?
Howdy. And where you live, Ms. Cotton?
I'm at 105 North Harnett School Road.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm right there. And I'm going to be right there when all of those, how many did you calculate? 340?
Oh, gosh, 312 if there's 4 to a house, and 156 if there's only 2 people to a house.
All right, so let's calculate 156. are going to be turning out onto that road right about my driveway. I know about development. I grew up with it. I understand development. I can put pen and pencil to paper and know what's going on with this economically. I understand that. And I don't have a problem with somebody making money. I am in process right now of getting rid of 2 houses in Georgia where I moved up here from because I'm getting old enough not to have to take care of those. I don't want to take care of them anymore. But I understand the process of investment. And that's what this is all about, y'all. It has nothing to do with whether or not people like me or whatever. It's these, we are in this for economics. You got to admit that. Y'all are in this for economics for the town. Okay? All right. So if we're going to look at it at economics or even in a smaller way, the impact on the community, anytime you add anything, you're impacting the community and you're adding to the density of the community. No problem there. If y'all had been at the Harnett County meeting when we were talking about rezoning at the Harnett County level, I mentioned the fact that most of this land that has been scraped bare, all the trees gone, the top layer of dirt moved, bring in the red clay, then put the top layer of dirt back, and then put some concrete on top of that. All of that has destroyed food-bearing land. Okay? I just want you to understand this is economics. Really and truly, when you look at 48 townhomes, 30 single-family homes on 28 acres, it's pretty darn dense. And as I've said before, you can't have an argument with your husband, right, when you got people living that close to you. You just can't have it.
That could be
Okay? Which can at times lead to problems between neighbors. And when you start getting problems between neighbors, then you've got communities that are giving you problems. And that is density. So too much, too many houses create problems. One of the things, I know my time's up. The first thing you're going to have to do, developer, sir, is widen that road. And that's my last word.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, sir, I would like to ask, because we do have a responsibility here to make sure that everybody's doing what they should be doing. Ms. Cooper, Mr. Planning Director, did we ever have a sign out there talking about the hearing?
Yes,
Public hearing?
there was 2 signs, one placed on Harnett Primary School Road and one on 210.
So it was posted. Did everybody see those signs?
No.
It would have been advertised as well.
It was in the Daily Record according to the ordinance.
I just wanted to make sure that we were doing what we were supposed to be doing, and I'm
Yes,
pretty
sir.
sure we did.
I went by today, and at least the one on 210 was still up.
Okay.
I wasn't saying that the county was doing something wrong. I was saying that because of the fact that it happened right before holiday weekend, and I got short notice because I don't actually have a property next to it, I didn't get a notice. And it's very hard to stop on 210 and see those little bitty signs because it's very dangerous to stop right there. So I knew something was going on, and Ms. Cotton let me know what it was, and so I wanted to find out more online rather than bothering your staff because usually things are online. And it was not online, and I couldn't get anybody to call me back from your town. And then, so I didn't find out anything about what was going on until Friday afternoon, and here we are right after a holiday. So my concern was the timeliness and how overworked the staff is. And you're all trying really hard, I know that, but it's really hard to do more than you can do in an 8-hour or 10-hour or 12-hour day. So I was concerned about the information I was able to get once I was aware there was a hearing.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for allowing me to say that. And to answer your question, Ms. Cooper, and it's nothing to do with our planning director, we are short-staffed with the planning department. We're working on that as fast as we can.
Well, as I say, I have empathy for that. I've worked hard in my life too. I know how it is.
Yeah.
But, you just,
Thank you for allowing me to say that.
Okay. Since this is a public hearing, I will allow other people to come forward and speak on the rezoning if you wish, and preferably first someone who hasn't spoken before. Mr. Hill.
My name is Mike Hill, 48 South Park Street in Andrew. Everybody in this room has got a legit reason to be concerned about heavy traffic. It's here and it's going to stay. It's just over on my little street. People cutting through, and it's like a superhighway just about. But I spent 30 years with the Highway Patrol, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with traffic anymore. I also spent 22 years building residential homes. Now, I understand a developer coming in and wanting to get as much out of his property as possible, because when you pay $35,000 an acre, it's hard to go in there and put streets, curb and gutter, and all this stuff and come out. Hopefully they make profit. The reason I gave up building because I stopped making profit because of the big builders. They kind of undercut me. But there again, the builder has got to make profit, and I just heard someone say, they're just out here to make money. Well, a lot of people come down south or from the west to make money because this is a growing area. And if you can't put them in houses, they won't come. It's kind of like the old baseball thing that you build it, they'll come. So what I'm asking you to do is take in consideration, right down the road, quarter of a mile, well, less than a quarter of a mile, you've got a subdivision on the right that's got probably about 450 to 500 houses in it. You go up the road past Hornet Central Road, Littleton, city limits, right around there, take a right. Littleton city limits is out there, and they got pretty close to 1,000 homes out there, all over the place, Littleton. Now, if you don't do it, Littleton's going to do it. And I think the town of Andrew needs to start growing that way. I really don't want to step on anybody's toes out here because I understand traffic, noise, danger, and all that. So I just take in consideration that this place is being overwhelmed with building, and Andrew has got to provide people. If we ever get any industrial sites around here, we're going to have homes, and everything we got is filled up. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hill, I hear you talking. I just want it to be known. You sat here for 4 years as a commissioner, and a lot of the growth that we have now, you got your mark on it as well as some of us up here. And I know the mayor for a long time has been saying that we need growth, but we need to be responsible. And I think we're at a point now to where we as a board have to make sure we do it responsibly. We have the rooftops now, but we need to be a little smarter at it.
Reply to you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Be smart about your decisions, because you don't have to be. Of course, they are asking for R10, I believe it was. R6, I'm tired of seeing R6 around here with these little small lots. R10 is just barely breaking to where, it's getting to be acceptable. We shouldn't have let it go as long as we did. But there again, it's in our ordinances, and we've complied with it. But like I say, be very conscientious in making your decisions. You don't have to go with R6 and R10. There's always something else out there that we can go with. And then you don't step on too many people's toes. Thank you.
okay, anyone else?
Could I just ask a question?
Sure.
Do we have a map to know if there is a turn lane since the proposed entrance that we've heard about? I know we don't have a site plan or anything, but just coming from Anger on 210, is there a middle turn lane there I know there's one, if you're coming from Lillington, people turning left onto North Harnett School Road. So I guess that I'm just thinking about the traffic that potentially could back up both ways
Okay.
into Highway 210.
Here again, this is just rezoning.
Yeah.
But
But again, the number of houses, the density that you zone
Right.
it for is going to inevitably affect the traffic in and out of this corridor. And that's my concern.
Since that's the North Carolina highway, I believe that it's up to DOT as to whether there's a turn lane or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's just things that I consider, present for your consideration.
Hey, in a perfect world.
Yeah.
we'd-
I get.
we'd have turn
but I mean,
lanes.
You've already heard that it's, from R30 is what, half acre lots? Am I correct? Little larger than
Yeah.
half acre. R10 is what, closer to a quarter acre? But it
Yeah,
also
as
allows
opposed to
but it also
6,000
allows
square
for
feet,
part
yes.
of the townhome section there, which again would just
Right.
drive up the number. So that's just our concern, I guess. I think as others have expressed, that does not match what's immediately in that area. So, and you've got a very unique situation with a school, one way in, one way out, and I think you just really got to take that into consideration. Thank you.
They're requesting the R30.
Right. All right. We have one more, potentially two more comments, okay?
Hi, my name is Juan Peguero, and I'm at 195 Clover Ridge in Angier. I've only been here for about 3 years, but I want to just make sure that it's voiced that there are some people that have left Wake County and moved to Harnett County because of what Harnett County offers. And it's decisions like the ones that are here today that will determine whether this stays as Harnett County or it becomes just another Wake County. And I know I ran from Wake County and would like to keep Harnett County as it is as long as possible. I'll also say for someone that hasn't been in these meetings before, that it was very unclear and confusing when we were talking about the annexation. It seemed to me that, hey, what's the difference? It looks like the only thing that we're deciding is whether it becomes part of the city or not.
That's correct.
And that we don't have to make a decision. But what was made very clear was that the minute we voted for the annexation to occur, that then now, by precedent, we have to zone based on the lowest common denominator. And if the average property in the town limits is zoned as a 10, now it puts that additional pressure. So I thought that was, I think, unnecessarily confusing. And then also on the growth part of it, I agree that we shouldn't prevent growth, but that it doesn't have to be in such a hurried fashion. I think someone made a point earlier today that with all the other developments going on, there's a lot of wisdom in waiting to see what that does to traffic, what that does to congestion, what that does to the town, because I don't think there's any shortage of people that want to build and develop, at least not when I look around.
Okay, thank you,
Hey,
sir.
Juan, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I've asked this question before, and it has no reflect on how I'm going to vote, y'all, but I just want your answer. You're right. People coming from different, not just Raleigh, everywhere, has created this, a lot of it. The way we voted on some things has created a lot of it. How many people did you say it was with two people a house?
156.
What am I supposed to tell those people those 156 people that wants to come to here and enjoy what you've been enjoying?
Well, I mean, I think it depends why they come here. So some people want another Wake County and just really need a place to live. And I think if all you're looking for is a roof over your head, then you wouldn't have a good answer. But if you want to say, come to Angier because look at what we offer, and look at how it has a small town feel, and how you're not piled up with the Walmarts and the big chains, then you're not going to have a good answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and let's see, there was one other. I think I had identified the other person in the back. Yes, but I'll go to you next, sir.
Thank you. I'd note, by the way, that my wife and I have lived in our house for 32 years. My focus with respect to rezoning is on the staff report. If you want to turn to it, you might find that helpful, but obviously it's not necessary. I'm looking at page 3, which is where the evaluation starts and relates to the findings that you're required to arrive at in order to approve the rezoning application. As for impact, which is the first point in the evaluation, no benefits to the community are identified. The reasoning states only that the allowed uses would be compatible with existing and adjacent uses. That's not a comparison of benefits with potential inconvenience or harm. As for the matter of compatibility, the evaluation basically says that if the property were within the future land use map, it would be classified differently and therefore compatible. The fact is, however, that the property is not within the town of Anger's future land use area. As for enhancement or maintenance of the public health, safety, and general welfare, the evaluation says no more than that the rezoning would allow for compatible uses. But compatibility is an entirely separate consideration. As for the proposed statement of consistency, which is on the next page of the staff report, statement of consistency with areas of similar characteristics, the report points to no other parcels of any size, 28 acres or otherwise, located 2.5 miles outside Anger's primary corporate limits. Just by way of conclusion, to echo some of what my neighbors have said, what we need are government officials with vision and the long-term big picture in mind, focusing on quality of life for our community and thinking creatively about incentives to preserve open green space and limit high-density construction. We should be talking about decreasing construction density along 210, not increasing it. Respectfully, I urge the board to deny the rezoning application. Thank you.
All right, and you had one other comment.
Just to briefly touch on 2 points. First of all, if you're going to go high density on 28 acres, has there been an environmental impact statement? Because there's already one person talking about the effect on their creek. Neals Creek is there too. What is the runoff going to be into Neals Creek? We've already had additional flooding in the past couple of years because of the big 1,000-unit thing over there on Harnett Central Road. And it does flood into Neals Creek. We're going to have to spend money on our greenway just to deal with somebody else's profit. It's coming out of our pockets because we are not a municipality of our own. We're a property owners association. And things like that get real expensive. The other thing I want to point out, if you want to go R10 and put 48 townhomes on that property, a townhome by definition in North Carolina real estate does own the land that's underneath the building, but is sold as a townhome that would, unless you're going to put really big townhomes on there, I don't think they're going to be a quarter of an acre underneath that facility. It's only a few feet beyond the extension of the foundation. I know this because I used to own a townhome, and that's the way it is. I was able to plant flowers up to 2 feet beyond my foundation, and it no longer was my property, it was the common area. So I don't think you're going to even qualify for an R10 if you're going to try and put townhomes there. It's just not going to be on a quarter of an acre. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. come on up front and identify yourself, please.
My name is Angie Collins. I live at 5821 Highway 210. So my house is very close to the school road. I'm just a field away from there. And I really was prompted to speak based on your question. You know, what are you going to tell those 150 people that want to move here? See, and that's the issue. You, now that it's been annexed into the town of Angier, now you represent those 150 people. But what about all of us? What about all of us people that already live here? That live here with some property, with maybe a little farm, with maybe some tomatoes, with maybe a pond. What about us? Where do we get represented? It says in all of this, you know, in the Planning Commission, that when plans are presented to Angier and to Harnett County, you're always taking into consideration the people that already live here. But it doesn't feel this way. Our property is totally surrounded by Atherstone, and we had to fight tooth and nails to keep them from draining into our pond. And it's still draining into the back of our property, into our creek. It's a constant battle with that development company. Our pond used to be a beautiful aquamarine green, and it's now brown. It's brown because they directed all the runoff into our pond. That issue has been settled. We had to fight about it and present our case and fight for it, but it finally ended. And that's what, you know, we spoke earlier about democracy and all of this. Well, now that they've been annexed, they get to vote? Do they get to vote in municipal elections? And here we are right across the street and we don't get a vote. So how are the people that live in that area being represented? This is what I need to know. I can't vote for any municipal people, but now you're going to put 150 people in there that suddenly can, and you're concerned about what are you going to tell them? I don't think they want to move here if there's nothing built, but if there is something built here, then it should be in connection and keep in tune with what's already here. The people that live in this area are long-term residents that have property, that farm, that grow things, that have birds. How is 48 townhomes and 30 single homes in tune with that? They don't even have room to plant a rose bush. And then in addition to that, you've got a school at the dead end of that road, which I heard a lot of concern being tossed around up here, but in the end, you jumped into the annexation and approved it right away. So I really want to know the answer to that question. Who is representing us who already live here? You know, you took that away from us by annexing it into Angier, and now you're not representing us. I just needed to say that.
Ms. Collins.
That's the question, because it doesn't in any way keep in tune with what's already there and what the people already living here are all about.
Ms. Collins, the mayor has been very lenient tonight with us asking questions up here. He don't normally allow us to get involved in that. But I do want to answer your question. I'm 58 years old and I've been in Andrew all my life, and I've known your family all my life. I was just a simple question I asked him. That was nothing else more than that. And I have been an advocate since I've been on this board to try. And if they'll tell you, they'll tell you. I've even brought it up several times. I don't think it's fair that we don't have people from the ETJ on this board. You should be representative. Absolutely. And I haven't been an advocate for that ever since I've been on this board, and it's gone nowhere. So,
I appreciate your response.
but I've known your family all my life, and it was just a simple question. That's all it was. I've asked it before, and last time I asked it, the guy told me to tell them to wait their turn. So, but it was nothing personal there. Yeah, I understand. I understand.
I just wanted to bring that out into the open, that we weren't being represented.
But I've been here all my life, so I know what you're going through.
I would note that there are 2 members of the planning board from the ETJ.
Yeah, but not on the board.
Not on the board. Okay. I think you've had some opportunity. Is someone else like to comment? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing.
I would probably, if he wants to speak on, if he spoke on the annexation but not on the zoning, I would probably be inclined to
Fine.
give him
I'll
a 3-minute period.
unclose the public hearing and let you come forward then on advice of council.
Really quickly, I just want to speak to this issue. Nobody, when this gentleman stands up and says, we can talk about the annexation, but the zoning's a different matter. And then you have another employee of the town, I guess, who stands up and says, well, now that it's annexed, we have to consider it like the other potentially dense areas of the town. Nobody is fooled by that. That's why government has a lot of credibility problems today. Nobody was fooled by that. When he said, well, the zoning's a different issue, and then when this person stands up and says, now that it's annexed, we got to treat it like any other part of the town, how do you guys really see that? That's what I'm asking, because these people don't see it that way.
Mr. Collins, again, Mr. Mayor has been very lenient tonight, but speaking on his behalf, some of us sometimes sway from where we're supposed to be talking about, and he keeps us in check on that. Right. That's what he was going there. Yeah. And as far as the planning director was talking, there's certain criteria he has to tell us. Doesn't mean we have to vote. We vote the way we feel we need to vote. Right. At the end of the day, we're going to vote a certain way, but that's their responsibility to feed us that information.
Understand. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Without something further, I'll close the public hearing. Members of the board, what discussion do you have?
Well, I'd tell you, I know what they're talking about, because I don't want to live in a subdivision with a whole bunch of people. That's why I live where I do, and I do live in an R30 area in town, where I got 3/4 of an acre and a big pond in my backyard, and I love it. So
I don't think it needs to be zoned R10. I'm sorry, or R6.
Nope.
Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you, sir, I'd like to make a motion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ready? I'd like to make the motion that we deny the request for the R30. R10, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't make any recommendations besides that, but my motion is to deny the request for R10.
Okay, we don't have to make any findings or anything.
Well, I guess you should probably give the grounds why you think R10 or why R30 is more appropriate than R10.
I got you. Okay. I want to go back to the evaluation that one of the gentlemen was talking about. I do feel that the rezoning request would have an unreasonable impact on the surrounding community as far as safety is concerned. With the one driveway into the school, it's bad enough as it is. I'm in construction, guys. I know what it takes from day one to the day it's done. You're going to have a lot of equipment, a lot of traffic in there. To me, it's just a safety factor. I don't. The R10, R30 doesn't bother me as much as you're going to have construction traffic at R30. But he's not asking for R30, he's asking for R10. So
R30 would be the initial zoning based on the current surrounding zoning and the current zoning with the county.
Correct.
So it's coming in at R30.
Correct.
I would leave it at R30.
So if we don't change it,
that's
it's
the most
R30.
appropriate
And that would
given
be
the
the most
surrounding
appropriate
area.
answer.
I'd leave it
Yes.
at R30.
And even after the contractors leave and everything, the equipment, you still have entirely too many people on that road. There's not another exit. There's only one.
Yep.
You're putting at risk the communities and the houses beside the property.
I agree.
Well, that's why I was asking if there's a possibility of another entrance and exit. Okay, further discussion?
Nope, I say we go to a vote.
Well, I think, Mr. Mayor, what we have done, if it goes that direction, with my motion, we as the board, as myself, I can only speak because I made the motion. I feel that the reasons that the attorney just said with the areas around it is the reason I'm making that motion. But the applicant now has to go back and do some more work. We're not stopping you from going forward. It's just we're stopping you from going in this direction. Correct?
Okay.
You're not stopping anything. It's just zoned R30.
Right.
All right. Are you ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The motion is to deny the request for R10 zoning. All in favor of that, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay. Again, you might want to talk to the town staff and see what alternatives, since the property is a part of the town of Angier now. Okay. Thank you all for participating and for your input. Okay, the next you want to take a 5-minute break? Okay, we will do that. Be back in 5 minutes.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Elizabeth Creed.
Elizabeth Van Hartzell.
Good to see you too.
Sorry that I was late.
Go out there and hobnobbing. All your people. Get me to take a soda. I know. We had decided.
Don't tell me that. I remember voting on it.
Yes, but it hasn't been signed.
What?
It hasn't been negotiated and signed. The concern I have is that, all right, we take the tax money for the town. But they get to decide whether it can be built, how it can be built, how the water and sewer is provided, if the water is. On to old business. Ordinance to amend Chapter 7, Section 7-106, speed limit limitations. Who's going to speak to this? And let me get this straight. If everybody's going 50, does it matter that it's 35 or 25?
No, at that point it doesn't matter. We spoke on this last meeting briefly. Just brought y'all's attention to it. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We're requesting to change the speed limit in our residential districts from 35 to 25. This come after myself and several of my officers and Jimmy and several of his employees have looked into this and dealt with complaint after complaint after complaint in these high residential areas. It's just too fast on a lot of these short streets. By the time you get up to 35, it looks like they're going 55. So, especially when you got a lot of kids in these areas playing, you got sidewalks, people walking. So, in my personal opinion, for the safety of our residents and the people that's living in our community, I just think it's time for us to start considering lowering the speed limit in some areas. Residential areas.
So Broad Street, I know people are going to ask, get it on record. Broad Street.
Broad Street would not be.
Wouldn't be affected. Okay. But it's everything else in all the subdivisions.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, subdivisions, Poplar Street, these different size streets.
Hickory, leading into all
The
this.
streets that people are using as cut-throughs.
Yes, yes.
So.
Okay.
Okay, but it's. But how do you know which areas this covers?
Broad Street would be, I'm sorry, except 210 and 55.
Okay, the state maintained streets, but it wouldn't be in the downtown commercial area.
That would remain 20, wouldn't it?
No, yes, whatever's already posted That wouldn't change. The
Okay.
20 miles per hour in
All right. It
Right in
says
front of the town limit.
yes.
the change from 35, I'm a lawyer, forgive me, from 35 to 25 in residential districts, comma, unless otherwise posted. Now, how does one determine whether within those districts that would normally be 25, you can post something else?
I'm sorry. If it's not posted, it cannot be enforced.
Okay. DOT, when they set speed limits, there's a specific ordinance or statute that lists the particular area that has a particular speed limit. What does unless otherwise posted mean?
Just like the 20 mile per hour Commissioner Holy was just talking about.
Yeah.
You're making a default, which can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So who approves the otherwise posting?
We would.
Y'all would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the default is 25 and then if the board approves something different, then that would okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Mr. Mayor, I had the fortunate opportunity today to ride with one of the officers for about 4 or 5 hours, and he ran radar in certain areas. And if we all up here are honest to ourselves, I mean, I know when I get in a vehicle, I normally set it 5 miles over the speed limit, and no matter where I'm at, and that's what I run. So, but in certain areas today, in residential areas where the speed limit is 35, if you've got someone running 40 and 42, chances are they're not going to get a ticket, but it's too fast.
It is.
It's way too fast. And I had the opportunity today to realize that, because it's different when you're riding, you can't see the speed limit, but when you're looking at a radar and it's showing 42 and a 35, and it's too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree totally. But my other question is something similar to what the mayor just said. If we change these rules and it's not posted, your officers cannot legally write a ticket, correct?
That is correct.
So how do
That's
we
the
go
reason
about fixing that?
We're going to have to, and inside your packet, we and Jimmy and his guys did all the legwork on this, but they gave what it would actually cost to change. As of right this second, we've got 97 streets roughly that have no signage. So if we went through and changed the streets that have no signage, and the streets, if we just took the signs down and replaced them from 35 to 25, you're looking at it, and correct me, Jimmy, if I'm wrong, but you're looking at between $15,000 and $16,000.
Mm-hmm. You can't really put a price tag on a human being's life, though.
Well, I'm wondering if a lot of the people who come through town now and I see them once they get to the backup from the stoplight, they'll turn off and go across the side streets. I'm wondering when the bypass comes in, will that be as significant a problem?
There again, the bypass is 10 years too late. Well,
I agree with that.
We're still 5 years out, possibly. The bypass is going to correct a whole lot of issues.
Not everything.
But we got to survive till we get that bypass.
Okay, so you're saying we might reconsider this in the future.
Correct.
So keep the signs.
Yeah, I would ask the town manager, but I don't know which one to ask.
Well, ask them both and see who knows.
Or even Hans, if he's not here, is he?
Yeah, he's here.
He's here.
He's
Where would this money come from?
You can use your automobile funds if you so desire.
Okay.
And if there's any other money out there, we might could use that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No.
agree with Commissioner Hawley, you can't put a price tag on someone.
Now, if we approve all this, how long would it take effect to,
That would be
we have it done tomorrow?
In a perfect world.
Well, just to replace the ones that we have right now, and then,
Gradually.
To replace the ones from 35 to 25 now, might take us week or two to get them in, and then probably within the next 30 days. We can
Okay.
get those queues switched out. Doing every street would take a little bit longer.
Right.
That's what I would probably suggest to the board is I would look at hiring a company that does that and then put those up. I'll give the chief about where to put those at specifically as far as.
Is that in your quote, Jimmy?
No, sir, that's the quote that you have is just a quote just to replace all the signs. Excuse me, just to put up a speed limit sign on each street. So I did not reach out to a vendor and put them up. With us, we could do it, it just takes a little longer to do that. So I would suggest doing that just to have a ballpark price. If it needs to be too much, then we can do it, just takes us a little longer.
I think the priority would be to replace the signs that are already up there. That way people start getting the idea when they start seeing it, and then we can work on putting the new ones up when we get a chance to.
One of the things that Chief and I have discussed is, when he gets those complaints, okay, let's put them on this street. Okay, now if they move to this street, then we'll just
keep moving it along.
Where the problem issues are instead of coming and spending all that money.
I agree.
Right.
Mr. Mayor and Chief, I got a question here. I'm kind of thrilled by the numbers that you've got us here. Where are you classifying the business district at 20 miles an hour?
that's right there in front of Ed's. That's 20 miles an hour.
Of course, that's state.
Wouldn't you
Right,
think the
anyway.
residential areas as well, like Dunn Street, Pleasant Street, wouldn't you think they'd be 20 as well? Instead of 25? I mean,
I would probably be a little cautious dropping it 15 miles per hour.
because you got to keep in mind, most people are going to drive faster than the posted speed limit.
That's the reason we're standing up here now.
Okay.
Whenever the vehicles that we were observing, it wasn't nothing to see 45 plus, and there again, that's not but 10 miles per hour over. So,
Okay, but assuming someone was driving 45 and 35 habitually, if you change it to 25, now instead of 10 miles over the speed limit, they're traveling 20. Is there an additional penalty for traveling that much more?
you enter into a misdemeanor at that point.
Okay. So, and potentially lose your license?
Well, I mean, that's up to your court date.
Okay.
You get enough of them, yes, absolutely.
When is it considered careless and reckless? 15 over?
No, careless and reckless is a completely different charge.
Okay.
That carries a different statute.
But still, it is to go the same speed under this new ordinance would be considered much more serious, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, all these subdivisions we're not responsible for.
Now, the subdivisions, Mr. Jimmy and his team has already been posting all of them 25.
Good.
We do that in case out here in the planning part. As we look at water and sewer streets, we actually lay out the speed limit signs where we want those
There you are.
within the subdivision. So there are only 25.
So
perfect.
Everybody's okay with 25 in the residential versus 20?
Yeah, I said we go ahead and make a motion.
Okay, make a motion.
I make a motion that we go ahead and change it from 35 to 25.
In residential
In
areas.
residential areas.
And we also, in the process of doing that, approved was it $15,035? Is that what it is?
So is the board wanting to just switch out the few that we?
I say we switch out right now.
Yeah.
And
Then add them.
Are we going to have to do a budget amendment?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, keep in mind the police department cannot write tickets if it's not posted.
right. But we
So
have
why-
to do a budget amendment, am I correct?
Why couldn't we just do it all tonight and be done with it?
Yeah. You have to have one drawn up before you can have it amended.
Yeah, because you have to have your.
Well, can we make the motion to do it pending?
Well, I mean, you can direct staff to bring you a budget amendment for the next.
Right, right, they can do that. But right now, just, I go ahead and make the motion that
So
we
the
approve it.
motion is that we approve the concept. Do we need to add unless otherwise posted to it?
Unless otherwise posted.
25 in residential areas unless otherwise posted, which would
Yeah,
involve
so the other one stays 20.
council approval.
Yes,
Approval.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So
The-
then, let me interrupt then, if it's all right with the manager, what I'll do is, if the board wants to look at doing a budget amendment next board meeting, I'll reach out to a couple of vendors too and try to get some install costs if we want to put them on every one of our streets. Is that?
That would be helpful.
Okay, so it's basically then subject to a budget amendment, pending
Yes.
budget amendment. Okay.
What we could do moving forward, we can go ahead and order those few that we need to get changed out and get them out. So.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion on the matter? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And it's duly passed. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Anger Museum request. Miss Rachel, is that you?
I'm here on behalf of the museum. We're running out of space to put anything in the museum just about. And so I thought maybe if we came in and asked the board if we could use the wall space to put pictures on. And let me see what else I wrote down.
Wall space in the caboose or
Or
No,
the
in
depot.
in the
In the
depot?
depot.
Okay.
Yeah. We've run out of wall space and floor space. So I thought if we could get your permission, that we could fix that and use what we got. And let me see what I wrote out here. We've got, well, I don't know where you call it a promise, but we're hoping to get some big pictures, and we would like to use the big room in the depot.
Mm-hmm.
And we would put the pictures up tastefully, maybe between the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And they're real good pictures of Andrew. I mean, really old pictures of Andrew, and we're hoping that we can get those. We'd like to use that space in the big hall. Then we would love to have the caboose to move the depot stuff. The depot stuff and the train. I've got great pictures of people that worked on the trains. I've got good pictures that I'd like to put in the caboose. In fact, we'd like to put everything that pertains to the caboose in there. And so the town needs to do what they got to do to fix that.
Miss Barnes,
We've been promised that you fix it. It's not fixed.
telling you no is going to be impossible. But I do want to bring up I know Mr. Coates. I thought he was going to talk with you because I know he brought it up to us.
Mm-hmm.
The depot, if I go in there, let's use Chevelle for example. Chevelle goes in there to rent that thing for a wedding. Is she going to want all those pictures hanging up in there, in the depot? And then as far as the caboose, how is the weather going to affect any of that stuff? Because that was his concern. I know he's not here to speak tonight, but I know that was some of his concern.
And Rachel, one other concern. All of this stuff is really important memories of the past, and yet we're putting them out in places that are open to the public with no one maybe there.
Well, they won't be unlocked if nobody. It'll be locked if nobody's there. And we will open it for special occasions and advertise when it's open. That's the way we do the museum.
Yeah. My concern is with the caboose has been vandalized before. It's hot as anything, I wouldn't want any of our artifacts to become damaged. Is there any way that we could find another place?
Or do we have another place that we know of?
I don't know.
What if we're gonna stop doing things because they're getting robbed? We just quit doing anything.
Well,
We've
some,
got a police chief here that will take care of that, won't you?
yeah, okay.
Well, what about the depot, Miss Barnes, as far as people renting
I
it?
know what you're saying.
How do
We
you,
can't just stop living because somebody's gonna vandalize.
Well, that's true.
I'm for putting the pictures up.
no, I'm not talking about vandalizing. I'm talking about if you're renting it for a special occasion or something, then all of a sudden someone says, well, I'll rent it, but I don't want a picture of Junior Price in there because hitting a softball hanging on the wall.
That's really valuable, yeah.
Chevelle.
Some places that deal with this sort of problem put pictures up with a plexiglass covering or something to protect them.
You're looking at it wrong. If we put those pictures in the big room in the depot, that depot is checked after everybody uses it.
No. I agree
These
having it in the
pictures will
depot.
be.
Tasteful is the right word that she uses. This is not something where we're gonna bulky throw any and every photo of. I think that if anybody does rent the depot, they rent it with the consideration that it is an historic.
Exactly.
If you're in town, that you kind of understand that it has a history, and that's kind of part of it. If you guys want to know like what photos are going up, or if you want to be a part of the process, we're always accepting volunteers. So you definitely can be a part of that process as well. It's a little naked in there right now as it stands, and so I think extending it is,
Do you have a ballpark number of how many pictures would be going up there? 50?
There's about 10, I think.
Guys, come on. I think that
there's
it
about
needs,
10.
I mean, that's our
and there will
heritage.
be large pictures that will be placed. This is
Very
This is
tastefully.
what I'm thinking that we want to do with it. Just me thinking this now, but they're going to be big,
Mhm.
and we would place one picture between each one of the light fixtures.
Mhm.
So that's, I think, this probably four something. Anyhow, we'll find a place for them.
Are they going to be as big as the one you got? Are they going to be as big as the one you got outside with your picture on it?
No, it won't be as big as that.
It won't be as permanent either.
No.
Do we need a motion?
I certainly agree with the concept.
That caboose is just sitting there doing nothing.
Okay, so what all would you put in the caboose?
I'm gonna put railroad stuff in there. I've got pictures of the trainmen. I had them enlarged. I got them ready to go up.
Okay.
I think
So
Mr.
how many boxes of that?
I mean, what?
Are they in boxes? Chevelle, have you seen them?
They're like copies of photos. They're
Okay.
not the original, and
Okay.
it would kind of be an opportunity to utilize that caboose that's underutilized sitting back there. Perhaps
Right.
if it was
And I'm
a
gonna move
part
stuff
of the
out of the museum down there, so we'll have more room in there for things that come in.
I think Mr. Coates was more concerned about the heat and cold ruining
Yeah,
stuff.
ruining stuff.
Because he said
Does
there was,
anybody even know if the thing leaks?
yeah.
I mean, people, when's the last time somebody's been in
The
there?
goal was to keep y'all in the loop, so if it's decided that it's unfit, then it won't happen. I think that the consideration was just that y'all be a part of the process so that nothing's happening without.
I think the idea is great.
Yeah.
We're just concerned
We just
about
don't want
the
anything.
implementation.
If anybody's most concerned, it would be Miss Rachel Barnes. So I don't think that she's
Well,
going to
there
let
you go.
something happen that's going to destroy.
Miss Barnes, you going to make the motion?
Well, I think Mr. Coates said there was storage up next to the stage.
In favor of me.
There is.
Well, why can't,
Chevelle,
Don't
is
tell
there
me,
storage?
don't motion if it's not in favor of us.
And you're
Is
gonna
there
hold the
storage?
chief
You know where the
responsible?
stage is? Is there storage on the side?
Pardon?
Up where the stage is in the depot. Is there storage on the side?
Yeah.
On both sides,
Are they
yes.
being utilized right now? They are? Okay, okay.
Richard, I do have a question for you, sir. Normally you have your recommendations on here, and on this one you got none.
I say we go ahead. Can we just go ahead and make a motion?
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and grant Miss Rachel.
Rachel's already made the motion.
we go ahead.
You're helping me.
I'm not gonna see you.
She wins. She wins.
Your picture's going to be in the back
Rachel,
somewhere.
that's his address.
I think as long as they are satisfied that what they're putting in that caboose is not of a significant
Value.
because there is
Right.
an extreme differential between the temperatures. I mean,
Exactly.
it's really hot in the summer and really cold in the winter.
Right.
And it's
right.
If
open.
anything of any value, it will probably not survive those
Right.
conditions. So
Could you
That's
promise
what I
us
was trying
that
to
you
say.
all will go in there periodically to make sure that the material is okay?
Sure we will.
Okay. I make a motion that we go ahead and give Miss Rachel what she's asking for.
All right.
We put the 10, 15, 20 pictures, whatever it is, in the depot, and they have our blessing.
Well,
to
I think
store.
we need to,
Well, we haven't got the pictures yet, but
Whenever you get them, sweetie.
I think we need to debate it.
we'll help.
Oh, Lord. Junior will be here all night.
I think we need to debate it.
Everything is just sitting there. We've got to get the museum back going again, and we got to get some stuff so we can get people in. They can't even walk in there now.
Raise your hand. y'all.
Okay, the motion as I hear it is to allow 10 to 15 pictures in the depot and to place some materials appropriately in the caboose.
And if for some reason that it's damaged, then we go ahead and find another place for them. Is that okay, Miss Rachel?
Yeah,
Okay.
and something else. The town has got to fix that caboose where it got burned. It's been promising to fix it and it hasn't got fixed yet.
That's another day.
Well, this is another night. I need to know that it's going to be fixed.
Miss Rachel? As soon
Miss
as we get
Elizabeth,
somebody hired, we'll
Miss
start looking
Elizabeth,
at yours
Elizabeth,
again to
that's
get it done.
yours.
If I let
Okay.
you go, you won't do it.
All right, all in
Miss
favor of the
Rachel, that's
motion,
who you
raise your
talk
right
to.
hand.
We'll look into it.
We've got another
No one
one.
votes for it. The
There
motion
you
is
go,
not carried.
found her.
No one voted for the motion, therefore
I'm
it.
voting for the motion.
Okay.
The motion's on the floor. Come
All
on,
in
people.
favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. I've lost control. Y'all, okay, it's unanimous. All right.
That's okay, Bob. You did your best.
Next time we have an annex meeting, you come up here and say it.
All right.
You get them straight. Thank you, Miss
I'm
Rose.
going to work for Andrew. It doesn't matter what.
Don't put Rufus's
And
picture
we
in there.
appreciate that. We certainly do.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Everybody.
We love you.
Okay. At least. All right, the next item is consideration and approval to partner in the planned event Gospel Singing Musical Festival and determine the town's level of financial involvement.
Hey, Richard.
Handle this one. Back 2 years ago, someone rented your facilities and held a gospel singing.
Right.
When the second year rolled around, somebody else took it over. The town, and I think they was at the staff level, agreed to fund that project up to $6,000. To get the bands, you had to pay cost up front. And the town issued a check to the person that was holding the event in the amount of $3,000. The bands were paid their deposits, and on the day of the event, it rained all day and all of the night before, so the event was canceled. So the town was basically out of the initial, check that was paid. The gentleman has come back and wants to hold the event again this year. His initial request was again for the town to sponsor it. And I think he was under the assumption last year that the town was covering our costs through grants. And we can find no documentation where grants were applied for or received. So all of that $6,000 would have come out of the town's funds. You have funds in that budget for special events. And I think you're at a point now you need to decide, is this an event the town wants to be involved in? Or do you want the person doing it to cover all the costs? Maybe you partner half and half, and I mentioned that to them, that if the town gave $3,000, maybe he could raise the other, $3,000.
We've already gained $3,000.
And we
That
lost it.
money's gone, because that was last year, and everything was canceled. So whatever you paid those bands, they spent the money and it's gone. So we're sort of at the point, Tom, is an event that the town wants to be involved in this year. I think they said the first year they had maybe 500 or 600 people.
That was in the park itself, and not in the depot, right?
But the scheduled event for last year was going to be at the depot. In the gazebo there and on the ground. So
Well, I mean, that's what I was asking before. It was at the.
if you say park, I'm thinking
there's the grass, and then there's the building.
Yeah.
It was in the grass in front of the stage.
Yes.
All right. Oh, well, we should have a motion to get it started one way or the other.
Well,
I guess I make a motion. I
That
make a motion that we partner, so we don't have to absorb the whole cost, but we partner.
to the level of what it's in.
Yeah, their
What do you-
budget's $6,000. So
Okay, so we pay 3 and they pay 3,
be half and half.
half and half. Is that okay, gentlemen?
All right. The motion is before you.
and if
Any
it's canceled
discussion?
again, then we lose that 3,000 again.
You're going to lose that whenever you have an event.
Event,
You gotta
right.
pay bands up front
Yeah.
to reserve them, unfortunately. If it's
Otherwise, they
outside
won't
events,
come.
You're always subject to that.
Right.
Yep,
And that
Do
would
we-
be
unless y'all
times
want to change the thing.
You'll lose your money.
Because some of them in the past have actually, we've paid them up front and everything, and when we had to cancel, they still honored and did come. Am I right, Veronica?
So I was going to ask if it could be put in the contract to say a clause that says, in the event of adverse
Cancellation,
weather,
yeah.
cancellation, we're either are refunded a portion of our deposit or they promise to come to another date.
I think that's exactly what we need to do.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I'm all for the event. We need more stuff downtown, especially gospel music. But I'm a little. I mean, the 3,000. I mean, they can't. I mean, what do they do with the money?
I think they paid a deposit to the bands, and when you cancel the events, they banned.
And is anybody from the town staff spoke to them, said, "Would y'all honor the 3,000 that we gave?"
No, our contract was done with this gentleman, and he contracted with the bands
Yeah.
themselves.
So he was the middleman.
Yeah, we weren't involved in the actual
Yeah.
contracts with the band. We were contracted with him.
How many
to
bands
have
are they?
You got a copy of the ad he did in your
Yeah,
packet there.
it's quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a dozen, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say about a dozen.
It's 7 hours long, so it's.
Well,
The thing that's different from what we're talking about now is that we agreed previously to pay $6,000 to this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
It didn't say anything about what happened if it was canceled or
Okay.
where the money was to be directed to in the event of cancellation.
And see, all you could do is assume that he paid the bands.
Right.
But he didn't have
We
to.
didn't require any records, any recommendation. I mean, so it was.
So he's kind of like their agent, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, he's sort of, it's. Last year it was basically his event.
Oh,
He
okay.
handled all the bands. He handled all of the food vendors. He handled all of the, the.
Oh,
trash
okay, that's
collection
different.
and
Okay.
everything. We just contracted with him. Said,
And
"You
then he
hold
does
this event,"
everything.
And the
town will pay $6,000 of the cost.
Oh, no, no, no.
Which in this case happened to be 100% of his budget.
Yeah. I still stand
I think
by my
one of
thing.
my concerns is too, is, with, some of the, if they're bringing vendors in for food and all, some of the, businesses downtown, what they gonna think about, that's.
Well, they're asking for or they're showing 6 to 7 food vendors.
Yeah, so that's really gonna hurt some of the downtown
Exactly.
businesses, and I can't see doing something like that to them.
For most of your events, like the Crepe Myrtle Festival and some of your other events, you've always got additional food vendors there.
It's kind of standard.
Well, Ms. Hawley's made a motion, Mr. Mayor. I just think it needs to be added in there about what, like Mrs. Town Manager put that verbiage in the contract.
Okay, so the motion is that we offer to pay
Half.
$3,000. And what did you want to add to the language, Elizabeth?
A clause in the contract about cancellation due to whether the town can be refunded and or a date would be provided in the future.
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right, you get that, Madam Clerk? All right.
Perhaps what the board should do is say that we will allocate $3,000 with a contract to be approved by the board at a later date.
There you go. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
Do you agree to that substitute motion?
I sure do.
All right, the substitute motion is before you. Any discussion on that?
No.
If not, all in favor of the substitute motion, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. All right. Okay. Okay, now we've got manager's report. Who is that? We understand you're going to stick around a while to help Miss Elizabeth. I think we as a board need to indicate to the prior town manager, interim town manager, how appreciative we are
Exactly.
of his services and what a fine job he did and how he stuck up for everything good. So,
Thank you.
is that the consensus of the board?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
what kind of report do you have?
So,
Not to put you on the...
It's been a busy 2.5 days. I've been busy meeting all of the department heads and other staff members, and I look forward to getting to know everyone in the town and working with the board to realize your vision for Anger.
All right. Well, that was short and sweet. Okay. All right. Welcome aboard. Staff reports. Parks and Recreation, you have anything that we need to know about?
Nope.
We
We're good,
we
Eric.
already gave you some in the budget. Okay.
Planning Department. There is a tree, and I don't know, Jimmy, if you're aware of it, on Church Street that is rotten. Are y'all aware of that? I talked with Shannon about it a few weeks ago. It is private property? Well, it's leaning towards the road and it's dead. And it's going to fall. Even if it's a safety hazard?
Is it within the right of way of the street?
No,
Okay.
there's nothing we can do. Wow.
Oh.
Disagree, but there are towns that have ordinances that
Yeah.
if a safety issue is identified, you can notify
If it's a nuisance or a potential hazard.
the owner that it's a safety and health issue. I mean, if they don't resolve it, you can go on private property, and have it removed, but I don't think we have that ordinance right now, so.
Well, that's something we need to look into.
Would it be the consensus of the board to refer this to Elizabeth with the help of our attorney to see if we can come up with an ordinance?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen something.
I'm familiar with provisions like that, and we can come up with something for the board to consider.
I'm sorry,
All
can
right.
you tell me the street it's on again?
Jimmy, you know, I think it's 3 something.
Church Street.
320.
I don't know the exact address, I think it's on West Church Street, about halfway down on the right.
But of course, the ordinance would be general. Okay. All right. Next thing would be finance. Hans, you have anything other than what you got in here?
Not tonight.
All right. Okay.
Next meeting.
Police Department.
You're good?
Okay. Public Works.
The only thing that's not in my report, Mayor, is the road widening.
Come on down.
The only thing that's not in my report, and I just got this information today, is the road widening. I know you've asked about road widening along Wilma Street. So weather permitting, I know we had a bunch of rain today. He's going to do that road widening along Wilma Street from MacGyver down to Campbell Street, widen it 2 feet on either side. So we actually put out door notices to all the residents to let them know that a contractor will be in there tomorrow. He should be finished. He's going to start around 8 o'clock, should finish around 12. We reached out to the Tanglewood subdivision, where they're going, where the new subdivision going in there on Wilma Street, and had them hold off on any of their road construction to help eliminate any traffic. Wilma probably down a single lane there temporarily while they do the road widening.
Jimmy, I noticed today over in front of, right behind the Angel Baptist Church, they got some rollers and stuff sitting out there on the grass. Have you seen that? On the other side of Wilma?
At Angel Baptist Church?
Yeah, on the backside, right in front of Commissioner Coach's home. They got some equipment sitting on the grass on the side there.
Oh, that's probably that's probably Johnson Brothers.
I just wonder why they can't put it on the side where they're working at instead of killing that grass over there.
Well, they just probably dropped it off today, and so they'll be, they're just mobilizing today.
Yeah.
And then they'll be out of there tomorrow by lunchtime. Yes, sir. All right.
Okay. You're doing a good job. I don't care what to say. All right. Public Works. I mean, planning and inspection. I'm sorry. Okay.
Derek, did we get much flooding at the park today?
Okay. All right. Is there anything else while we're in general session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to.
I make a motion that we go in closed session.
Okay. Well, all right. The motion is to leave the general session and go into closed session. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. We will give you guys a moment to clear out, and then we'll go